Warning. Pregnant women, the elderly, and children under 16 should avoid prolonged exposure to Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler may suddenly accelerate to dangerous speeds. Dirt Diggler has high gluten content and is not kosher, halal, or vegan safe. Do not ingest Dirt Diggler, as Dirt Diggler is for external use only. Discontinue listening to Dirt Diggler if any of the following occurs: itching, vertigo, dizziness, discoloration of urine, tingling in extremities, loss of balance or coordination, slurred speech, temporary blindness, profuse sweating, heart palpitations, increased use of profanity. If listening to Dirt Diggler gives you an erection lasting longer than 4 hours, you're welcome. Listening to Dirt Diggler may lead to unplanned pregnancies. If Dirt Diggler begins to smoke, get away immediately. Seek shelter and cover head. Dirt Diggler may stick to certain types of skin. When not in use, Dirt Diggler should be returned to a special container and kept under refrigeration. The ingredients of Dirt Diggler include, but are not limited to, a glowing substance which fell to the earth, presumably from outer space, and bad memories. Do not taunt Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler does not come with a lifetime guarantee. Dirt Diggler, enjoy the show.
Extra heat.
Well, all right, it is the Dirt Diggler, the dirtiest Diggler to ever Diggler, if a dirt could Diggler.
That's right, bitch.
And I'm a little under the weather today. I'm fighting a bit of a chest cold, head cold type deal. But you know what? It's not the end of the world, right? So between hot tea and Robitussin DM and maybe some rest, and I might even hook up some chicken soup later on today. We're gonna fight this, and damn it, we're gonna prevail. So going on to the show, right? So. Today's menu. I'm going to do a quick piece on myself, like a note about Dirt Diggler, right? So, what is Dirt Diggler? Who is Dirt Diggler? What makes Dirt Diggler Diggler like no other Diggler could ever Diggler, if a dirt could Diggler, or whatever, right? My game-by-game review of week 3. We're going to cover the Eagles versus Steelers in particular. We're going to do another segment of What the Fuck Buffalo, followed by another segment of What the Fuck Cleveland. My uneducated predictions, the rookie quarterbacks in the league. There's several, and we're going to talk about how they're doing. We're going to give someone, a media personality, the Go Fuck Yourself Award for National Media Excellence. And instead of the beer of the week, we're going to be covering foods from my childhood, which should be good. I'll cover one or two entrees that I may have enjoyed growing up, that some of you may have enjoyed growing up. And we're going to talk about some of these delicious things you might find in the kitchen in your youth. And, of course, we're going to engage in the scorching hot take of the week. So, all right, let's get into it, right? So a little bit about me, right? So I'm a sports fan, right? I'm a sports fan in the sense that I used to play a lot of sports growing up. Like, most of the folks out there, you probably shot some hoop. You probably, played some football out in the middle of the street in the parking lot field somewhere. You probably did these things, right? You're around the neighborhood, nothing really big, right? Maybe some Pop Warner, some Pee Wee, or whatever, rec league. But, you never really, most of us never really went to the collegiate or professional level. Some of you may have, and if you did, congratulations. I hope you took full advantage of the opportunities presented to you. And if you didn't and you really wanted to, that's the luck of the draw. Either way, with the exception of baseball, which is incredibly boring to me, I'm still a fan of watching most of these sports. I'm a huge fan, right? So I'll occasionally take in a basketball game because there's like 1,000 games in a basketball season. So there's no way I'm sitting through all those games. And most of the games I do watch that are basketball, they're going to be against be involving teams that are competitors, right? Like in position to go for the title. I'm not going to watch two scrub bottom feeder teams play unless this is one of those games that's so bad it's good. And I'll watch some hockey, playoff hockey in particular, if I stumble upon it. Like very rarely, unless the Flyers are playing, will I seek out a hockey game for the playoffs. Right, this is a sport that I will enjoy on occasions, but I'm not a dedicated, huge fan, right? And I'll tell you what, like I'll watch baseball if I'm captured and the terrorists are trying to use it to break my spirit because it's such a boring sport. But that's the only time I really watch baseball. Really, that's it, right? And so my favorite sport, if y'all haven't figured out, is football. Football is my favorite sport, and I really don't engage in the NCAA stuff because if I want to watch paid professionals play, I'll watch the actual professionals, not the guys getting paid under the table, because the NCAA is grimy and filthy, and the fact that it pretends it's not is ridiculous. But it is what it is. I'm just not a fan of NCAA football. I'm not. So, pro football is my team, right? So there's a few teams that I hate, though, within that sphere. Sports in general, but mostly, like I said, mostly football. There's a few teams that I hate, right? Of course, I I hate some of the teams because of the teams themselves, and for the most part, I hate the teams because of the way the fans interact with the world around them. So with that being said, like Cowboys, any Boston team, I hate you because of your fans. I hate you because of your fans. Understand that your fans are assholes and they're insufferable in some way, shape, or form, and I hate you, and a lot of other people will hate you and your team because of your fan base. But most of the teams I tolerate, right? Like, I don't really wish ill in a lot of different teams. I don't. I tolerate them. They're fans like San Diego. No one cares about San Diego. Right? No one cares about the Chargers. Their fans are pretty innocuous for the most part, unless you're playing the Raiders. But for the rest of us, that transplant city, nobody really cares. So they're tolerable, right? So I have my team. My team is, of course, the Eagles from Philadelphia, right? But I still track the other shitty teams. I track the shitty Phillies and the Flyers and the Sixers, who coincidentally, Simmons just broke his damn foot, so he's basically going to be sat for the season. So that's another high draft pick that's going to be sat. But whatever, go Sixers. So look, with that being said, look, everyone, if you're coming to this show, right? If you're coming to the show with the opinion that I'm going to say nice things about your team, you're probably mistaken, right?
What?
I'm going to say mean, hurtful, hateful things about your team most times. I'm going to say them, and I'm going to say them with zeal and enthusiasm because I truly mean them for the most part, right? So just understand that. Like, if once again, hey, if you want to dispute that, feel free to send me an email at dirtdiggler2823@gmail.com. Also, hey, so the show, this particular show, today, Week 3 review, was brought to you by a new social media video app that's coming out right now. It's in alpha testing. It's called Trendstar, TRNDSTAR, right? You can find it at trendstar.com, spelled the same way, right? So you can download it. It's for Android only right now. It's a mobile app, only for Android devices, not on iPhone yet, but we're going to get there. But try it out, right? So go ahead, download it and give it a spin, and maybe interact with some other people on there. Let us know. But that's today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Trendstar. So hey, let's kick this pig, shall we? So the happenings of Week 3. So my uneducated predictions for Week 3 had me actually going 6-9, and I don't really count Thursday games really. So I'm slipping. Like, basically, I've regressed one game per week from the win to the loss column. And I'm going to try to rectify that in the future, kind of, but not really. It's just one of those things. Like, I'm going to look at the games and go, I think this team should win, I think this team should win. But there's teams like the Jaguars that defy logic. I don't know what's going on with this team. They look good, and they look like shit, and they look good, they look like shit. It's what it is. So so let's get into the Week 1 happening. So we have the Bills and the Cardinals, right? So they fired their offensive coordinator, the Bills did. And yet they were able to upset the Arizona Cardinals, right? The Cardinals are supposed to be one of those elite teams this year because they were pretty good last year. NFC Championship game where they fell apart, and it looks like they haven't really recovered from that loss because they got wore out. Right? They got wore out by the Bills. But, hey, truth be told, Arizona could be one of the best 1 and 2 teams out there. But really, let's think about this, right? So Arizona is supposed to have a top-notch defense with a top-notch secondary, right? With the likes of the Honey Badger and Peterson and all them folks back there, whatever his name is. And the Bills were able to run him 33 points on him without Sammy Watkins, who's shut down, by the way. I think Sammy Watkins is done for the season with some kind of injury. So basically, one of the top receivers in the game is done for the year, and yet that team that he belongs to, the Bills, were able to go and hang up 33 points on the Cardinals, and that's after they fired their OC. So that's nice. But let's the NFC West is quickly becoming the new AFC South, right? These teams that are supposed to be good are just simply not getting it done outside of their division. They're not, and they're starting to become a doormat, and they're donating wins to teams who honestly don't deserve them. But whatever, right? The Cardinals are the Cardinals. I'm not a fan. This is one of the teams that I tolerate because there's like no Cardinals fans here. So I don't have to interact with them. Therefore, I tolerate them. So whatever. So moving on to the Oakland, Tennessee game, right? The Raiders versus the Titans. Oakland won, and they should have because the Titans have DeMarco Spraytan Murray as their feature back and have yet to address the offensive line that will no doubt get Mariota killed. So I mean, let's be real. Mariota seems like a really nice guy, and I'm not looking forward to writing his career obituary in a few years, because that's what's going to happen if they don't address that offensive line in Tennessee real quick. Right? They don't have enough weapons. They don't have enough protection for the talent that's at the skill positions. So Murray be damned. I mean, Mariota's solid. He's a solid QB. They got to protect your kid, though. You got to protect the kid. So Oakland won. Tennessee lost, as I predicted. So, boom. So, all right. Cleveland, in the most Cleveland way possible, managed to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory yet again. Former Eagles kicker Cody Parkey, remember him? He won. He was a rookie, went to the Pro Bowl, did some good things. Next season, he hurt himself really badly. Khalib Sturgis comes in, who looks like the dude from the Bee movie. Seriously, I think he looks like Carl from the Bee movie. Khalib Sturgis does. Anyway, Parkey gets hurt. He loses his starting spot. Sturgis comes back this year, competes, sucks out loud, doesn't make the team. Sturgis remains, and so Parkey's out on the market. So the Browns picked him up. They picked up Parkey, and he went and missed a whole bunch of field goals, including the game winner, which him missing sent the game in overtime. And of course, the Browns lost in overtime because that's the most Browns way to do things. Now, what's surprising is that the Dolphins are who beat them. And if you haven't been paying attention, the Dolphins are a pretty terrible team right now. They're a really shitty team, and the Dolphins should not have won that game. The Dolphins know it, but they did because they played the Browns. And if there's anyone who's going to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory harder than you, it is the Browns. So Dolphins won, Browns lost. We'll cover more as to exactly why the Browns lost this game later on in the podcast. But just know the Dolphins did in fact win it, but it was by no virtue of their own playing. By no virtue of their own playing. The Dolphins didn't win so much as the Browns lost another game. So, fucking Miami, dude. Look, the Dolphins are one of the biggest disappointments. I'm sorry. They just are. They're an expensive, shitty team, just like the city they represent. They are. Miami's overrated. The Dolphins are overrated. And really, their disappointment knows no bounds. This is one of the most expensive rosters in the NFL, and it sucks. You have Ryan Tannehill back there. That guy sucks out loud. Get rid of Tannehill. Oh, no, let's not. Let's sign him to a long-term contract. There you go. And that's why you're never going to win anything. That's why the Patriots will always hand you your own ass, because you do shit like sign Ryan Tannehill to long-term contracts. This guy's an asshole. He needs to get fired. The coaches all need to be fired. The ownership needs to sell the team, and whatever. Either way, Baltimore beat Jacksonville. The Jaguars, right? The Baltimore Ratbirds beat the Jaguars by 2 points. And I don't see Gus Bradley doing too well in Jacksonville. He's not. He's not effective. And Baltimore's barely winning these games right now. They're barely winning games. They've got to be the worst undefeated team in the NFL right now, because they're scratching by scrub ass teams. Like, you're supposed to be this AFC East, AFC North juggernaut, right? With the likes of Pittsburgh, you got Joe, Izzy, Elite, Flacco, and all these people, and you're squeezing by teams like the Browns and the Jaguars. Like, you guys are terrible. Like, you're a terrible, terrible 3-0 team. And I'm looking forward to you losing when you start playing actual teams with actual coaching ability and actual talent. Because right now, the Ratbirds are terrible. They're just terrible. I mean, Jesus Christ. Look. Eventually, you have to play good teams, and you're going to lose. And I can't wait to hear your fans all bitch and whine about how the NFL conspired for you to lose games when you were simply outclassed. I can't wait for it, Baltimore. But I know you're going to provide me that, so I'm just going to wait, because you'll do it for me, because that's what you do. Moving on. Matt Stafford threw for a bunch of yards. Right, so I know I spoke about him being a bust, and I still feel like he's a bust. But he's a prolific bust. I mean, there's games where he comes out and he lights it up, and then there's games where he inexplicably throws 6 picks. That's Matthew Stafford. So he threw for a bunch of yards, and Aaron Rodgers did that thing where he throws for a bunch of yards too, and threw for a bunch of touchdowns as well. Like, wow. And the Lions lost, and the universe has been restored to some sense of order, because the Packers absolutely dominated the Lions, and that's the way the world is supposed to be, and everything's good. I mean, if the Lions would have won that game, you'd have had dogs laying with cats and birds, just swimming, flying upside down. It'd have been end of days. So the Denver Broncos beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati ran the ball a whole lot, which is maybe a good strategy if you can actually run the ball on that defense, but they really didn't. But I don't think Cincinnati was really interested in winning that game. right? So you have a team like the Broncos, and they've got a rock solid defense, and so they've got edge rushers that come off and will dismantle your quarterback. The Bengals are looking at getting Dalton through the game. They're not looking at Dalton standing back there and taking those hits, which is why they didn't throw the ball a whole lot. So they just wanted to survive, and they did survive for the most part, and they lived to see another day, and life goes on. But they donated a win to the Broncos in the process, and that's just what it is. So the Broncos won, the Bengals lost. Moving on. So apparently Cam Newton has a stunt double. He's got like a body double for stunts or whatever, and that's who played quarterback for the Panthers this last week against the Vikings, because whoever was back there looked absolutely confused. I don't exactly know what witchcraft the Vikings were performing at their defensive backfield, but they had Cam second guessing, double, triple guessing, and hold on to the ball, and he just didn't. He looked out of sorts, and it was marvelous how they were able to do it, because this is the reigning NFL MVP, and they made this guy look like a rookie who was starting on accident. He looked the way Wentz should have looked. He just looked lost out there. But so whatever. I mean, Minnesota's playing good ball right now. They've got Bradford, who's playing pretty good. Their defense is, once again, their defense is their strength. They're playing lights out, and they're shutting opponents out. They're beating quarterbacks up. They're doing really good. The secondary's forcing turnovers, and you know what? They're still going to choke in the playoffs, because that's what Minnesota does. So this one's for you, Minnesota. Holla at your boy. So moving on. So Odell Beckham Jr. lost a fight with a kicking net, which was, if you saw footage of that was entertaining. He's all huffy, and he hits the net with his helmet, and the net physics takes over, and the net promptly smacks him square in the jaw. And of course, this is all captured on camera, so of course it was a meme within freaking minutes, because that's what happens, and everyone's a savage on the internet, and I love it the way it works. So he allowed his emotions to overwhelm him. Now, I'm not going to lie. He put up a decent stat line against Josh Norman, right? The Washington team, whose name I've already mentioned once so far, they broke their stupid game plan of leaving Norman on one side of the field, and they actually had him shadow Odell Beckham Jr., because this is the matchup we've all been waiting for. And sure as shit, we got it. And Odell Beckham Jr. pretty much wore him out, right? He caught a bunch of footballs, had a bunch of yards, but he didn't score any touchdowns, and that's kind of the goal. Like, if you only have 3 catches, and they're all for 2-yard slants for touchdowns, you're the winner. You fucking win. You win. You don't have to put up 200 yards receiving. 200 yards receiving does no one any good if you're not getting in the end zone. And the Giants didn't get in the end zone. Beckham didn't get in the end zone. And so the Giants, on the back of some key Eli Manning interceptions, lost the damn game, because that's what they do at home against a division rival who they could have had go 0-3. So let me tell you, I would have loved to have seen the Washington team go 0-3 just so I could drink in all that sadness at work from the fans. Just so I could drink in that sadness, because it's delicious. But instead, Josh Norman gets to go home with the win, and he said as much. He goes, hey, look, I won because my team won, and I don't get personal victories. We get team victories, so that's how that works. So he was right on that one. Josh Norman was right, because the NFL doesn't count moral victories or personal victories. They count team victories. So Josh Norman's team won. Odell Beckham Jr.'s team lost. And so now the Giants are 2-1, and the shitty Washington team is 1-2. Boo. Anyway, whatever. The Rams got up on Uncle Rico's ass and the Bucks, and Winston did some crazy things. So, all right, so there was a storm in Florida, and it apparently caused the game to go into a delay, like an hour-long delay. And then the Bucks came out, and they were able to, they had an hour to game plan this shit. They had an hour to game plan the last couple minutes of the game, and they apparently fucking didn't. That don't make sense. So they came out and did all kinds of crazy shit, right? Jameis Winston runs 10 yards past the line of scrimmage, but he didn't really run. He had the ball up like he was going to throw the ball, but he was way past the line of scrimmage, right? So his awareness is a 0 right now in Madden. If they haven't updated it, it'd be a damn shame. But yeah, he's a prankster, that Uncle Rico. I mean, he really had everyone fooled, thinking the line of scrimmage was way where he was at, because it was way behind him. If you really want to know what kind of prankster he is, you need to Google his activities at Florida State, and you'll be like, wow, that guy really is a prankster. He's funny, So look, I'm not gonna lie. These Florida teams, they need to all be taken all three of them, and they need to be taken out of the NFL and pushed directly into the SEC. They do. They need to be taken out of the NFL and pushed into the SEC where they belong, because they're shit teams. The Bucks aren't doing shit.
What we thought
the Dolphins aren't doing shit, and the Jaguars aren't doing shit.
But they've
been horrible teams for a long time. They just waste draft picks. They waste money. They waste free agent signings. These teams are fucking terrible, and they need to go away. I'm really tired of dealing with these fucking teams. They're shit teams. So get rid of them. Stick them all down in the SEC so they can play Auburn and Bama, and maybe provide some competition for those teams. They can play the Gators or whatever. Actually, technically they should be in the ACC, but we'll throw them in the SEC because I believe that maybe these three teams can compete on the SEC level. It can be entertaining, but really, God. Then the bad thing about the Bucks losing this game here is that now, if you look at the NFC West standings, the Rams are on top, firmly on top of the NFC West. Who anticipated the Rams sitting on the top of being top of the division for the NFC West after 3 weeks? No one did. Everyone was like, Arizona, Seattle, maybe. No one said the Rams, but here we are, the Rams sitting on top of the division. NFC West, you're about to end up on timeout too. Keep fucking around. So, moving on. There was an NFC West game, actually, between the Niners and the Seahawks, right? And the Niners were able to further injure Dangerous Wilson, right? They were able to injure him. He jammed up his knee on the same leg that his ankle was jammed up, so he's got like one leg. But you know what? They were able to win, right? They were able to win. Actually, they dominated the Niners. They dominated the Chip Kelly Niners. So, I mean, it was a bad game, but it wasn't as bad as the Chiefs-Jets game. Man. All right, so Fitzpatrick throws 6 interceptions, 6 picks. And, of course, of those 6 picks, 1 was a pick 6 because you can't have 6 picks without at least 1 pick 6. So we did that. He unraveled. I mean, they were throwing bad passes. They were just a bad team. Right, so I can kind of understand the Jets not wanting to pay him in offseason. But at the same time, he's the best shot they have. And I think they realize that. But you know what? If you're a Chiefs fan, this is a very encouraging game. This is encouraging. If you're a Chiefs fan, you're like, wow, our defense maybe, in the top half of the NFL, maybe the top 10, top 5, maybe even the Chiefs defense. Who knows? All right, your offense played good enough. You beat up on a team that's got a solid receiving core, and you did all these things, and you did well. So if you're a Chiefs fan, you should be excited about that. But if you're a Jets fan, I mean, the only question you may be asking yourself is why you're a Jets fan. I mean, why am I a Jets fan? I mean, I could be a Giants fan. I mean, they're the same city, right? At this point, like, what's the point of being a Jets fan? You can just be a Giants fan and live, in a different type of mediocrity to where it's, you win the division at least once every 3-4 years. Whatever. So after, my God, dude, look, the freaking Chargers. They played another weak ass AFC South team, and I'm not even gonna say the team's name because I'm tired of talking about the AFC South because they're so shitty. But the Chargers played another shitty AFC South team, and then they lost. So the Chargers, I can't wait until they move to like Bakersfield or Oxnard or into a black hole so I don't have to watch them anymore. I'm really tired of the Chargers. Like, they haven't been good since Tomlinson left. Like, if you really look at, Phillip Rivers be damned. Since LaDainian Tomlinson went to the Jets, like, they've been a shitty team. And they're going to be that mediocre, shitty team forever. Because the Spanos family sucks, and the city of San Diego doesn't care about the team. But I really don't like the Chargers. I'm sorry. Their fans are tolerable, but the franchise just kind of does waste my time. I'm sorry. Either way, so moving on to more exciting news that makes me a little bit happier, right? Just a little bit. So the Eagles played the Steelers, and this was supposed to be the benchmark game, right? This is supposed to be the benchmark game, right? Is you feasted on the weak-ass Browns and the Bears, which are probably 2 of the weakest teams in the NFL. We're talking about, 31 and 32 or 32 and 31, respectively, whatever. So you played the Steelers. The Steelers are a Super Bowl contender this year. The Steelers are a Super Bowl contender, right? The defense is adequate, but where they have Antonio Brown and Roethlisberger, they have D'Angelo Williams, top running back in the league going into Philadelphia, right? You have all these offensive weapons, and you're supposed to confound Wentz, beat him up, make him throw picks. Wentz is supposed to unravel this game. This is a game that Carson Wentz is supposed to look like a rookie, and that is not what goddamn happened. What happened was the Eagles went in there and whooped their asses pretty badly, right? So it starts off badly. It starts off kind of good, but kind of bad for the Steelers, right? The Steelers got down the field. They get down the field, and they throw a pass to the back of the end zone, and it hits the receiver literally square in the chest, and he drops it. Hits him square in the chest, he drops it. So they're like, damn. All right, so they line up for the field goal, and it gets blocked. So the field goal gets blocked. So they come out of the red zone with no points, which is crazy for this high-powered offense. So 0-0. The Eagles get the ball, go down, put up a field goal, and it kind of went that way the whole game. At the end of the day, it was 34-3 in favor of the Eagles, right? Wentz had 0 turnovers. The Eagles' offense had 0 turnovers. And then Roethlisberger had like 2 or 3 turnovers himself. I mean, they beat up on Ben. They roughed him up. And let's be real, Antonio Brown's one of the, if not the best receiver in football, definitely one of the best. And he had half. If he had 3 more yards, he would comprise half of all the offense for the Steelers. That's how bad it was for the Steelers. I mean, it was just, it was a combination of the Steelers having a really, really, really bad game and maybe the Eagles being a lot better than people anticipated. I mean, we won't know until they come off the break, because right now, going into week 4, the Eagles are off. They're on a bye week. And the Steelers, they really haven't been successful in Philly for a long time. But that beatdown is one of those things that hasn't happened since like the 80s or something like that. It's been like 30 years since they took a loss that one-sided in their history. So, I mean, I was looking forward to it. I was like, these linebackers, the Steelers traditionally have very talented, very smart linebackers. And they have very talented, very smart coaching staff. And I don't know what happened. Mike Tomlin is a good coach. Some folks, he was just there. Y'all, Mike Tomlin's got a pedigree to him. Mike Tomlin is not just a guy who holds a clipboard. Mike Tomlin has paid his dues in the NFL as a coach. He's been the coordinators for different teams. He's been in some successful things. So for him to hit the podium post-game and say they were out-coached and outplayed, that's a bit of a thing, because I don't care how you feel about Mike Tomlin and why. He's a solid coach. He's a damn good coach. The championship that he has, he earned that as a coach. He didn't just inherit. He wasn't like that. Was it Campos or Switzer, Barry Switzer for the Cowboys, who just kind of inherited this juggernaut team and rolled to another championship? No, I'd say he coached that team to a championship. He's a good coach. So for him to kind of concede that Doug Peterson out-coached him and him and his staff is a big thing. It's a big pat on the head, pat on the back for the Eagles. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It was an unexpected game. But I'll take the win. So right now the Eagles are 3-0, and with an exclamation point after the Pittsburgh game. So I'll take that. I mean, there's still a lot more football to be played. Still a hell of a lot more football to be played. But I will take that win against that team because they're a really, really good team. And I don't see them losing many more games going forward, Steelers. So we'll get into that, right? So there was a Dallas and Chicago game, and Chicago proved that they suck more than Dallas does. Rain Dakota Prescott. That's Dak's actual name. Dak's name is not Dak. Dak is a shortened form of his middle name, which is Dakota, but his first name is Rain. So maybe I'll call him Rain Prescott from going forward, because his name is Rain with a Y. Either way, look, he's a solid game manager right now. I mean, he's a solid game manager. He's got a solid line. He's got good skill position players. He's got the number 4 overall pick. With Ezekiel Elliott running behind him, with Alfred Morris, they're a solid team, man. I mean, Des Bryant, he might be done. He's got a fracture, a hairline fracture in his knee, and then you have La'el Collins is hurting, but we don't know. Like, Tony Romo is still on the mend, but right now Prescott's playing some good football. They're not asking him to win a lot of games. They're not asking him to go out there and be a hero. And the team is supporting him well. So we'll see what happens going forward. And actually, you know what? I think I'll talk about this a little later on in the podcast more in depth. But Prescott, I'm not going to call him the best, but we're going to talk about him. So, and Atlanta beat Saints in a game where defense was some abstract concept, like space or time. No one showed up on defense. It was really bad, and I really wish they would stop wasting primetime slots in either of these pretending teams. I really don't want to see the Popeyes of the NFL play the Applebee's of the NFL on primetime, but that's what we had. So, with all those happenings, right, for week 3, we have the NFC East standings, right? NFC East, the Eagles sit alone on top of the division at 3-0, right? Washington managed to win their first game, which moves them up to the bottom of the division. Good job. Dallas won a game that any team not named the Dolphins, Bucks, or Browns should have won. And the New York Giants shit themselves against Washington and gave them their win. So we have you have New York and Dallas kind of sitting in the middle of the division right now. They have similar division records. They do. They both lost their games out of the division. They both won games in the division, so they're tied. But the Eagles sit alone on top, and Washington sits firmly at the bottom where they belong. And so get used to that spot because you're not leaving it probably ever. Just get used to it. So moving on to our weekly piece of what the fuck Buffalo, right? So you got to win. The Bills won a game, right? So maybe, and this is a crazy concept, maybe you should fire your offensive coordinator every 2 weeks, right? Maybe that's what you need to do to sustain some sort of, some sort of stability at this point, is just create instability on purpose. So a week 5, I want to see your OC get punted so that you can win week 6, Maybe, if that's what you got to do to beat the Patriots, right? Do it. Whatever. So moving on to Cleveland. What the fuck, Cleveland, right? God, you can say this about any decision they make, right? So let's go over the Cody Parkey situation, because that's what cost them a game. So they signed Cody Parkey, and they never saw him kick in person, right? They signed this guy. Like, there was some logistical freaking shenanigans to where he was not where they were at any point in time, so they never got to really try him out. So he got hired basically because they knew he was a kicker and he was good at some point, so they hired him. And he went out there and missed so many kicks. This decision cost them the game. This decision cost them a game. So, it's not like there was no kickers available. You had Robbie Gould, who was available. But apparently the word around camp is they didn't want to pay for that dude. They wanted the bargain guy. So they got Cody Parkey because Cody Parkey was cheaper than Gould. And so they got, the budget performance out of it. So they lost the game. But if they sign Gould and Gould makes one of those kicks, they win that game. Really, if they sign anyone else and they make one of those kicks, the Browns win. They win their first game. But they don't. They don't sign them. They do lose. So, like I said, I'm not going to say they're unlucky. I'm just going to say that they are just a bunch of incompetent assholes, because that's some shit an incompetent asshole will do. Specialists, unfortunately, hold a key part. Kickers have won games. The first 3 of the cheat Super Bowls were won on the leg of Vinatieri. Like, for all the Tom Brady, whatever you want to say about Tom Brady, Vinatieri won those games for him. He's the one that kicked the game-winning field goals. So it pays. You got to pay for a kicker. Pay for a kicker. Is how many games have been lost because the kicker sucked? There's quite a few. So the lessons should be learned. Have already been learned, but apparently nobody watches history or anything like that. I don't know. So, all right, moving on to my uneducated predictions for week 4. My current record is 30-15, like I said earlier, right? 30-15, which is pretty solid. It's pretty solid. So we're going to go into it, my predictions, right? So I predict the Dolphins and Bengals 10-27 in favor of the Bengals. Colts and Jaguars, 17 for the Colts, 14 for the Jaguars. The Raiders and the Ratbirds, I see the Raiders putting up 20 and the Ratbirds putting up 13. Like I said, at some point, the Baltimore Ratbirds are going to have to start playing real teams with talent, and these close-ass games are not going to go their way. In fact, they won't even be close games because I don't see them good enough as being good enough to force a close game against a good team because they haven't played anybody. So hang on to that false hope right now. But I see that stuff ending this week, coming up this week now. I see the Titans versus Texans. Texans taking out 124-13. The Browns versus the Washington team. All right, so listen. The Browns are terrible, but I don't think that they're better than the Washington team. I think Washington is a more competent franchise I can't believe I'm saying this. But I can. Than the Browns. Everyone's better than the Browns, right? Everyone's better than the Browns right now. Period. Everyone is. They just suck. So Washington should win that game. I see the Jets beating the Seahawks 20-10, mainly because Russell Wilson's hobbled, and he's not going to be able to escape and use his mobility to get away. That pass rush is real, and I don't think they have anyone that's going to really beat up on Revis. Even if Revis is on his decline, I think he's still good enough to adequately cover anyone the Seahawks trot out there at wide receiver. I see the Bills losing to the Patriots 17-28. The Panthers beating the Falcons 28-27. I see that being a close game. I see the Lions trouncing the Bears 35-10, mainly because the Bears are so terrible. I see the Broncos blanking the Bucks 28-0. Like I said, take the Bucks, stick them in the SEC. Maybe you guys do good. Who knows? I mean, maybe not. I still think Alabama might beat you. I mean, because they're paid professionals as well. So maybe Alabama beats you. I don't know. Either way, you'll have a better chance in the SEC than you would in the NFL. The Rams, I see them losing to the Cardinals 21-27. I'm hoping, because the Cardinals are supposed to be this team, and the Rams are a terrible, boring team, and I don't want to watch them ever. So for them to be winning games in the division is unacceptable. They need to go back to losing. But if that's what they're supposed to do, then that's what they're supposed to do. But I see the Cardinals, getting a win there. I see the Saints losing to the Chargers, and I see the Saints remaining one of the teams that don't have a win. I see the Chargers winning 23-20. Cowboys versus the 49ers. I see the Cowboys putting up 27 against the 49ers 20. The Niners are a bit of an enigma, and they kind of are with Chip Kelly. So I haven't had the pleasure, I say that loosely, to really examine a Niners game. So if Chip Kelly is doing the exact same thing that he did in Philly, as in he's strictly scheming for saturation of plays and he doesn't have any true play variance, then this seems the wheels are going to fall off around week 7. Maybe week 6, the wheels totally fall off. The defense will be gassed and the offense will be just, 3 and outs. You're not going to win championships with Blaine Gabbert, but whatever. I see the Chiefs losing to the Steelers 17-21. Now that game could go much worse for the Chiefs. I don't think that the Steelers are going to come in there and let this game be too close. I really don't think it. It's possible because this Chiefs defense is pretty good and their secondary is really good. So they may be able to get after Roethlisberger the same way the Eagles did. Maybe the Eagles provided the blueprint. Who knows? But they're going to want to come out there and they're going to want to take it to the Chiefs because they're coming off a really, really bad loss. There's no one who's an active member of that team who's ever lost a game the way they did in Philadelphia. So either this is a close one because of the strength of the Chiefs' defense, or the offense simply overwhelms them and this thing becomes a blowout real quick. I don't know. We're going to find out, though. So then you have the Giants and the Vikes. I see the Vikes winning that one 35-20. I see the Vikes winning that one 35-20. So let's talk about the rookie quarterbacks for a second. Right? You have out of all the rookie quarterbacks playing for teams right now, there's only one loss between them. All right, you got the kid, and you got Philly, of course. You got Wentz. You have Dak Prescott, right? You got a couple other players out there. Who else is a rookie? The kid in Cleveland. He's the only one that lost. He'll stack up another loss, but the third stringer in Cleveland is a rookie. Now, here's the thing: he's actually playing some pretty solid ball, right? The rookie in Cleveland is playing solid ball, but since the roster around him is so weak, the defense is so terrible, they're losing games. They're losing close games, though, and it's not because the rookie is incompetent. So let's be real. All right, just for a second, I'm going to stop shitting on the Browns. I'm never going to stop, but I'm going to shit on them a little bit less. If you're a Browns fan, you need to be excited about your rookie. Be excited about him because he looks like he's going to become a good player. Now, what's interesting is how the coaches for these rookies are game planning for them. We always heard that it takes a certain amount of time for a quarterback to get accustomed from the collegiate level to the professional level, but I don't know. That's disputable. You have the train of thought that if they're going to be good, they're going to be good no matter when you start them. And there's that. So, you have someone like Marino or Aikman or Roethlisberger. Like Roethlisberger came in the league his rookie year. He was starting because but Batch got hurt or Maddox got hurt. And he went in there. He was eviscerating people fresh out of school. So, honestly, what I think is this. Yes, Some quarterbacks that are mediocre do require a certain amount of time to adjust to the speed of the NFL. But if the quarterback is truly good, they're going to adjust within, maybe a quarter or a half. They're going to adjust. Those practice reps are going to mean so much more leading up to them starting. They're going to maximize that. They're going to do the studying. These guys like Dak Prescott. You look at him; his freaking legs are huge. He's hard to bring down because he's so strong. Like he's not going to freaking throw for 300, 400, 500 yards, but he's playing within his means. They're game planning well for him, and they don't expect him to win the game. They're not making him into a savior, and all those things are combining to make out for some pretty good seasons for these rookies right now. So maybe the mantra will change because the NFL is a league full of copycats. The league's full of copycats. So now you're going to look at how the Cowboys and the Eagles and all these other teams are leveraging their coaching support and everything for these rookies. You're going to look at how they're evaluating these rookies going into the draft and trying to see how they're going to do. Prescott was a fourth rounder. He's a fourth rounder. He was looked at as a project. But the bottom line is that the school he went to, Mississippi State, was a doormat before he showed up. They were a terrible team before Dak Prescott showed up. And freaking Wentz came out of North Dakota State University. Who? Where? North Dakota? Like, what? Seriously? But he only had 35 starts before he was drafted. The guy doesn't have this huge body of work. But he was groomed to do this kind of stuff. They're playing to their rookie strengths. They're coaching to their rookie strengths. They're game planning to the strengths of the rookies. They're letting them throw short, accurate passes. The skill position guys are good enough in the support. And you know what? They're winning games as a result. Dak Prescott, while he's only got one passing touchdown, he has no picks. Wentz has 5 touchdowns, no picks. These are just they're doing a great job. And you know what? I salute those coaching staffs that are getting a lot out of their rookies right now. And if your team, has not had luck with rookies in the past, maybe they're going to look at these successful teams and emulate that. And you will start to see a lot more production out of rookies than we have in the past. So, all right. So moving on to the Go Fuck Yourself Award for National Media Excellence, right? So anybody remember Bart Scott? No? All right. So we're going to talk about him. So apparently, all you need to be a talking head on one of the NFL networks, stations, whatever, ESPN, is just to have played, right? No matter how shitty your takes are, right? Because, you have your takes, and it used to be that the guys would actually, research what their points were. Like, they would go do the research to substantiate the claims they were going to make. But apparently nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to hear that. They just want steaming hot pile of shit takes, which Bart Scott provided. Right, so Bart Scott was like, "Oh, Carson Wentz is fool's gold. Fuck this guy." Right, so the better thing for him was to say, "You know what? I don't think his body of work substantiates all the hype yet, and all these other things." Right, he could have took a more neutral stance, but he put himself in a corner by saying that the kid was a scrub. Basically, he's like, "The kid's a scrub. Fuck him. He's fool's gold." And this is right before the Eagles went out and thrashed the Steelers, and I was so you have Bart Scott, who's now being confronted like, hey, remember when you said Wentz was fool's gold? The kid went out there and played some pretty damn good football. What are your thoughts on this? And so he tried to backpedal a little bit and go, well, I think the Steelers game was just bad, and he's still not that good. We're going to see going forward. Like, look, dude, if you're going to take a shitty take like that, if that's your position, own it, right? Don't even backpedal, because you're backpedaling just like in real life is shitty on the air. So your on-air backpedaling was shitty. So with all that being said, I, Dirt Diggler, award you, Bart Scott, with the Go Fuck Yourself Award for National Media Excellence, because you are a national media personality, and your take sucked, and your response to said name shitty take was noteworthy enough to win an award. So pat yourself on the back. You can put another trophy in the trophy case. This one will say Go Fuck Yourself. All right. So there's no beer of the week, like I said, right? Because I'm sick. I've got a chest cold. I'm on the mend. No beer of the week. But what we do have is a childhood foodstuff or two of the week. Now, let's get with, was it Dr. Peabody, Mr. Peabody, and the Wayback Machine, and we're going to do the fried bologna sandwiches. Right? Anybody remember those? You got the piece of bologna, you threw it in the skillet, you fried it up, it turned into a bubble, you popped the bubble, you flipped it, you did whatever, you put it on some bread and some mustard, and you had a good time. Now, we use mustard. my house, we used mustard when I was growing up. Maybe other families didn't use mustard. Maybe some of y'all threw ketchup, which I don't see that working, or mayo. I mean, possibly, but mustard, we definitely use mustard, right? So the fried bologna sandwich is one of the things that I still like. It's one of those things you grow up eating, and it may be because you were poor and you didn't have a lot in the fridge. You know, and that was the case for my family, right? We didn't have shit, and that's what we had in the fridge, so that's what you did, right? Maybe if you had some cheese, you threw some cheese on there, right? Maybe some Kraft singles or whatever store brand replica of the Kraft single you could find. You throw it on there, get yourself a fried bologna and cheese sandwich, right? It's good times, right? Another sandwich that I think is underrated that I grew up because we didn't have shit was the peanut butter and maple syrup sandwich. Everything's going to be a sandwich for the most part. Right, mostly you're gonna have, because you got bread in the house. Bread is fairly inexpensive, and you have the lunch meat shit, whatever. So the peanut butter and maple syrup sandwich, you're like, that sounds interesting. Listen. Go in your kitchen, grab yourself some creamy peanut butter, throw it on a slice of bread, right? Grab yourself some maple syrup. Try to apply as good as an amount as you can because it's kind of thin, so it'll run out through the sides if you don't do it right. But just a little bit. Put it together like peanut butter and jelly and enjoy your sandwich. Peanut butter and maple syrup is underrated, and if you never had one, go ahead and give it a shot. Right? So, but the food that I remember, but for all the wrong reasons, right? This is the third one. This is the last one I'll cover right now. Was the top ramen and hot dogs. Top ramen and hot dogs. They took the hot dogs or the Franks, whatever, they cut them up, and they threw it in the top ramen, which is probably chicken flavor, while it was cooking, and that was like your lunch. That was your summer lunch, when you're at your aunt's house, was the ramen and hot dogs, man. So yeah, those are the some of the foods from my childhood, and maybe going forward, I'll go on and off between the foods in my childhood and the beer of the week. Like I said, right now, there's no beer because I'm sick, and I don't think you want to hear the tea of the week. So let's just gonna go over the childhood food of the week. So you have the hot dogs and ramen, peanut butter and syrup, and a fried bologna sandwich for this week. So if you never had one, go ahead and figure out how to make one. I just told you how, but figure out if you don't know how to work a stove, and go ahead and make yourself some sandwiches and enjoy a taste of poverty. Because that's pretty much what it was all about, was just trying to eat when you don't have a lot, man. All right, so this week's hot take of the week. All right, buckle yourselves in, put on your headgear and your mouthpieces. I'm about to hit this, and it's about the Cowboys. Right, it's about the Cowboys and their young quarterback, Dak Prescott. I talked about it a little bit earlier in the podcast, but we're going to go into a little more. So, Tony Romo will start over Dak Prescott once he returns from injury. Now, some of you Cowboys fans are like, but that doesn't make any sense. You're right, it doesn't. It doesn't fucking have to, because you're forgetting who owns your team. Jerry Jones, right? Romo, at this point, is not the better quarterback because he won't be on the field. This guy is like, if he slips off the curb, this guy could die, right? So we're not putting him in because he's the better quarterback, because Dak is winning games for you. You're going to put him in because Jerry doesn't want a quarterback controversy, and the only way to prevent a quarterback controversy is if Tony dies, right? So you take a fragile Tony Romo, you stick him in there. He gets eviscerated. He gets obliterated to 1,000 little pieces, and now he retires. And there's no question who your starter is now. You get Dak. You get all Dak all the time, and so it's a win, right? But they can't just they can't ease him out gracefully because Romo has invested in talking for Tony so much that he's not going to have Tony holding the clipboard and the sideline for the rest of the season. No, he's going to stick him out there, and either Tony's going to do good or he's going to die. Either way. This is it for him. This is it. The Cowboys feel they have their answer, and that's going to be what it is. And especially with Dez going down, right? With Dez going down, so you can see the offensive line maybe give up a protection or two, and somebody come off the edge and blow up Romo. But yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, Jerry Jones is going to stick Tony Romo into the game with the explicit purpose of injuring Tony Romo, and it's going to be magnificent. And you're not going to see Jerry kicking Tony Romo and telling him his back's okay to get his ass back in the game. Nope. You're going to see him ease that fucker into retirement before he even hits the sideline after his injury. I'm telling you. And that's my hot take of the week. And if you don't agree, hit me up, right? Hit me up at my email, Diggler2823 @gmail.com. Right? So like I said, always, every week, right? Find me. I'm on iTunes, I'm on Stitcher, I'm on SoundCloud, and I'm on Mixcloud. I prefer you go to my Mixcloud, because my Mixcloud. All right, so I started on SoundCloud. SoundCloud, I was putting up my podcast, and I was like, sweet. And then I realized you could only upload like 3 hours worth of shit on a free SoundCloud account. And I was like, no. But I had so much invested in SoundCloud. Folks were on SoundCloud. They're following me on SoundCloud. I have to find a new hosting site, and I found Mixcloud, right? So I'm like, sweet, Mixcloud lets you put up like 25 hours worth of shit on a free account. But the downside to Mixcloud is that anything you upload has to be in excess of 3 minutes, right? So while the podcasts themselves are good because those are always longer than 3 minutes, those little pieces I do, like the Foundation for the Preservation of Dicks and Balls and the RG3 obituary, that stuff can't go on Mixcloud by itself, but I can put it on SoundCloud, right? I can put it on SoundCloud because SoundCloud's great, right? Another bad thing about Mixcloud is that it doesn't have quite the membership of SoundCloud because SoundCloud was first and it's more known, so people go there. But let's be real, as far as the product's concerned, I want to say Mixcloud is a superior product for podcasters. So if you're an aspiring podcaster, look, start off on Mixcloud, go with there. You know, you can link SoundCloud to other shit. Like you can link SoundCloud to iTunes, which is great. Can't do that with Mixcloud yet. So that's another thing. But like I said, look, do both if you can. But I prefer Mixcloud because you can go to my Mixcloud, Diggler2823. You can go to my Mixcloud and you can see pretty much everything I put up. So like I said, I'm on iTunes, I'm on Stitcher, I'm on SoundCloud, and I'm on Mixcloud. And you know what? You can come holler at me at dirtdiggler2823@gmail.com. And once again, today's podcast was brought to you by Trendstar, right? Trendstar, new mobile app. Check it out. It's going to be the business. And of course, all my music is done by the one and only RTO Beats. So hit him up. He's on SoundCloud too. He's got some mixtape stuff out. Dude's music is hot. Hit him up. So, hey, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Dirt Diggler out.